Our number 2 tip is, which we get into quite a bit in our motivating course within the academy, but is to avoid criticism if at all possible. You want to motivate somebody, you avoid criticizing them directly. It really doesn't, in essence, change people's behavior, but what it really does is raises their defenses but makes them resentful. And you can bring about change with a very positive approach. So if you can avoid criticism by specifically telling somebody, maybe going back to the example that we had said with Winston Churchill, is that, he obviously was admonishing his secretary for giving some criticism on his writing that wasn't as effective as he probably thought that it should be. However, he didn't call her out on the carpet and he avoided criticizing her. Instead, he sort of made light of it. So one of the things that you really want to do as a leader, as a sales leader, to motivate people and to keep them supercharged at all times. Remember, we're dealing with very emotionally charged people. Salespeople are very emotionally charged. And why is that? It's because they live and die by their numbers. And for somebody who goes out every single day and gets 90% of the time faces rejection and faces failure instead of actual success. And because of this fact, you as a sales manager have to be very acutely aware of this and constantly in a positive state, because there is so much negativity in sales. I mean, it depends on what your type of sale is, but typically there is a lot of rejection. There's a lot of no's for every yes. I mean, one of the companies that I used to work with, we calculated that every 200 calls equaled 10 appointments, and out of 10 appointments equaled 1 sale. That is a lot of rejection. So because of that fact, because there is so much frustration, you have to be a master motivator in order to get the best out of people in the sales world. And I think that's what makes it most fun being a sales manager, is that there is that constant challenge. There is that constant challenge of buoying people up and supporting them if at all possible, and using positive motivators when at all possible. And we're going to get into negative motivators as well. There's positive and negative to both sides of the equation here. We're really getting into the more positive ones and putting a positive spin on things. But that's because typically a sales manager should be motivating in a positive way, because of the vocation that we've all chosen here is rife with rejection and rife with negativity. So as Ken Blanchard once said on the 1 Minute Manager, he said, people and helping people feel good about themselves is a key to getting more done. So that's what you want to be doing. You don't want to be criticizing people if at all possible. You want to make them feel good about what they're doing. And the more positive your salespeople are about what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, and you can acknowledge this, the better they're going to be able to sell. It's just that simple. Number 3 is instill a desire. And people are mostly, and by the most part, are self-motivated. So to persuade people to do something that you want, create in them sort of this desire to do it. And these are sort of the basics of human psychology, once again. But if there's one secret to success, I think it sort of lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and to see things from that person's angle as well as from your own. And Henry Ford said that. So there's no doubt about it. You've got to be able to persuade people to do something so that they see what's in it for them. And we're going to get a lot into this here in this in the show, is to get into exactly what is it that they want. What is it that motivates them? What is it that really is at sort of the core of it all? And then all you do is you align yourself with their goals, and together you can achieve those things together. So if you instill that desire in them and achieve that, or lead them and motivate them to aspire to more, then you've definitely been able to instill a desire. And it's one of the huge keys to success, to motivating salespeople well. And number 4 is speak to people's interests. So, for example, is Theodore Roosevelt routinely amazed people with his knowledge. And this is another, if you don't know who Theodore Roosevelt was, he was another president of the United States, and a very successful one at that. And no matter who his guests were, he spoke on the topics that interested them. So a key to motivating people is to get to know your people and get to understand what they're all about, and speak to them in terms of what it is that they want and what it is that's most interesting to them. Get to know their families, get to know their kids, get to know what their desires and their wants are, where they want to be later on in their careers, and get them to the point where you understand exactly what it is that they want. Because the thing is that unless you figure out exactly what it is that they want, you're never going to get what you want. So help them get what they want, and you will get ultimately what you want. So with Roosevelt, what he did is he would stay up all night, sort of the night before maybe a big visiting head of state was to come into town and visit him in the White House. And he would research the subjects that he knew would grab that individual. So he would always sort of do this. And we do this with our customers. I think the very good salespeople do this with their customers. They understand that a big customer is a fishing guy, or he is, maybe the woman is much of a, she's a family person, or she enjoys her garden and that kind of thing. The best salespeople that I've seen have known this. And even though they don't necessarily have interest in alignment with that, they get to know it and understand it and research it ahead of time. And it's the same thing that you should be doing as a top performing sales manager, is to research and understand what people are most interested in and then speak to those interests. And one of the things that you can really do is you can find out what motivates them, what their real true desires of being there and doing what they're doing is, and then speak to that all the way through. So in the case of Teddy Roosevelt, he knew that the road to a person's heart is to talk about the things that he really treasures the most. And this, once again, this is Dale Carnegie, that was very, very influential and very much a motivational leadership expert. But it's the same kind of things here with your salespeople. You're motivating your salespeople, so finding out what the key to a person's heart is and talk to those things over and over again and use those to motivate them on a consistent basis, and you will start to achieve the results that you're looking for within your sales organization. So just to summarize here, first off is to use humor if at all possible. Secondly is to avoid criticism. The third one is to instill a desire in people and recognize the fact that people are motivated. It's up to you to enhance that motivation any way that you can. And then lastly is to speak to people's interests. And we're going to get into that in other shows about exactly how you can speak to people's interests. But for right now, these 4 basic principles are things that you should think about. And think about how you can start using these in your individual cases with your salespeople starting today. Now, for hundreds of other sales management techniques and strategies, such as this one, you can find them in the Sales Management Mastery Academy, along with dozens of done-for-you resources to help your sales managers achieve ultimate sales management success. To claim your free test drive of the Sales Management Mastery Academy, visit salestraininggift.com. That's it for this week's episode of Sales Management Mastery. Until next time, wishing you ultimate sales management success.
You've been listening to the sales management, motivational, and leadership training expert, Ralph Burns. Ralph invites you to discover the sales manager training secrets that will unleash a flood of new sales from your sales team. Visit salestraininggift.com and you'll get instant access to your choice of life-changing sales manager training techniques, only taught in the internationally acclaimed Sales Management Mastery Academy online community. Go now to salestraininggift.com. Sales Management Mastery.